joined by Tyler Reddick, driver of the number 8, and Austin Dillon, driver of the number 3 for Richard Childress Racing. Before we open up to media, Austin, we want to start with you. We know you've teamed up with GM and Marcus by Goldman Sachs to launch the all-new My GM Rewards card. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, really pumped to be working with Marcus by Goldman Sachs and the GM Rewards card. And I'm a big Chevrolet fan, GM in general, and to be partnered with them this year is very cool, and excited to push the card.
Can you sign me up?
Yeah, we can work on that.
All right, perfect.
All right, we will go right into questions now. We'll start with Daniel McFadden.
You already
Go
have
ahead,
one?
Daniel.
You probably don't even know it, but you got one.
Okay, good.
Dillon McFadden, FrenchRich.com. Austin, it's been 2 years and some change since you were the first driver to take one of the next-gen cars onto a track at Richmond. 2 years and change later, how far has this car come from what you experienced? And, like, just what's your overall assessment of what it can do as a car at this point?
Well, I think since 2 years ago, the car has really developed to something that you guys are seeing, obviously, this weekend. And I think it's a good piece, and we're still developing it as we go. And, these guys in the garage are so good at what they do, the engineers, the mechanics. And, it's hard to build something and get it to the track like we've been able to, and then not have huge things go wrong, and I feel like we're finding little things and making them better each and every week, and NASCAR's done a good job working with the teams, and I feel like the ability this car has that the old car didn't is, it's a lot different. I mean, it can turn in a circle a lot faster, I feel like, and the ability, you're taking away some of the wheel hop, just the things that independent rear suspension can do that we couldn't get away with in the old car. It's got a lot more ability than the old car.
We'll go to Mark Darrow.
Mark Garrow, PRN. I have one question for each of you. First, Tyler, I'm doing a feature on last year's race at COTA and the rain and all that. You finished 8th. How crazy was that to get through that race, and do you feel lucky or grateful that you were able to survive it?
Yeah, there's some pretty wild moments in that race, certainly. For me, though, it kind of falls in line with the number of races we had last year, where kind of defeating ourselves, and in that race in particular multiple times, just getting into the top 10, making mistakes, spinning out, having to go back to mid-20s and do it all over again. That was one of those type of days, but certainly just some of the chaos that was developing between turn 11 and turn 12 on that long back straightaway. Some of the scariest stuff I've ever done in my life. I remember just wide open and seeing a car crash, stopped, and I think it was Christopher Bell getting out, and before I even realized what had happened, I already passed him, and I'm like, he's getting out of his race car, and I'm wide open, can't even see where I'm going. So that was a bit chaotic. We were in control of our cars, really, for the most part. The big issue was
I wasn't.
I thought we were. The big
me.
issue was just seeing where we were going. Anything more than 80 miles an hour with just how air just comes out of the back of the Gen 6 car. Hopefully, with the diffuser on this car, some of that will be better, but we don't know yet.
And Austin, the race at Atlanta, super speedway stuff, the drafting and all that seems to always obviously been one of your strong points. I mean, are you looking forward to that race and turning into maybe a Daytona, Talladega, and what do you expect?
Yeah, I don't know what to expect, really. I didn't get a lot of footage or video. I saw some of the stuff that they did with 3 cars, but, I mean, they've talked about speedway-style racing there, and I think it'll still have a lot more handling. Just looking at the track, there'll be some handling issues, I think, when you pack all those cars in there, and it looks like a pretty tight area, leaving the corner there off of 4, but they've kind of moved the wall around. But if it turns into speedway racing, I think it's cool. It's it's another one of those races you got to hold your breath on, but we'll have some fun with it and try and figure it out to the best of our ability.
Go to Mike Hembry.
Mike Hembry, Auto Week. Tyler, any leftover concerns from the clash? You feel good about the car going into this week?
Yeah, it's definitely something that we get to bigger tracks, like speedways where we run on harder tires. You know, just that alone is enough to really, by itself, is enough to really kind of ward off some of the concerns that are from the clash. But NASCAR did a really good job right away of taking a lot of information from my car, Briscoe's cars, and some of the other cars that had issues, and going into work right away and kind of recreating, you know, the loads and just the situations in general, and coming up with, you know, an updated part, just to beef it up a little bit. So it seems like they were able to make it a lot better. And so I was really happy to see how quick they were and getting something out there and getting something back to the teams. Us, you know, I saw cars and teams putting in the pieces here at the track before we got underway with practice yesterday. So they did a good job of really tackling that issue and having it what they think is resolved, and hopefully it is.
Go to Jordan Bianchi.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. Question: was there any conversations between you guys about how you're going to handle this week with the car shortage and everything, and how you want to put yourself in precarious situations? And has there been any discussion to how you're going to approach the duels?
Yeah, we have, right?
Yeah, no, we've had some pretty extensive conversation actually in between our teams and myself and Tyler. We were talking last night. I mean, it's very hard to you want to pick an approach and really attack that approach, but with the situation we're in, what is right? You know what I mean? So it kind of comes to when the green flag drops as a feel thing, but you're still going to have this mentality built into your head that, okay, you really would like to get this car to the 500. You know, if you don't, it definitely sets you back for the next 3 races after this, going to the West Coast. So I think it'll be interesting to see how the duels play out. I think there's definitely some guys that are going to go for it, and there's some guys that aren't. And then there's going to be some guys in the middle, and does the middle get you in trouble? You know, it's one of those things. So, you know, our goal obviously is to take these cars to the 500 and try and get there.
Go to Lewis Frank.
Louis Frank of Reuters. Austin, RCR made some great performance progress in the last 2 years. As much as you like the new car, how do you feel about the field being reset?
Well, I think it's good. You know, I mean, I think change is good, and you know, everybody's on the same playing field right now. We're learning as fast as we can. I like the situation RCR is in, truthfully, as a whole. I think Tyler and I both work really well together, and like our teammate growth is growing. I think that's a great position to be in. He drives a certain way, I drive a certain way, and we can kind of build off of that and elevate our team fast, I think. So I think it's since I've been here, the best position I think RCR's been in from our standpoint.
We'll go right here, and then Dustin, and back to Jordan Bianchi.
Sean Clark of the Rich Report. Austin, you as much as anyone have experienced the highs and the lows of the Daytona 500. So with that said, what is your mindset coming into this week as a whole?
You know, I try and take advantage of every Daytona 500 you get an opportunity to drive in. I've approached them a couple different ways throughout my career, and kind of feel like I've found a place that, you know, a happy place that I feel like after practice and qualifying and going in the duels, if I have this car, then the ability is this. I know what my approach is going to be in the race. Obviously, there's a lot of things that happen during that time frame, but I just try and control what I can control going into it, and then hopefully that leads to a solid finish. And we've been able to get some solid ones, and like you said, we've had some wild ones too. So it's Daytona, man. It's just you kind of got to live in it this week and take it all in, because there's different atmosphere when you get here for the 500.
Dustin Long.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports, one for each. First for you, Austin. Why are you part of the Drivers Advisory Council?
Well, I think Jeff Burton kind of reached out to me and felt that that they could use me on the board, and I felt like I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't. You know, I feel like the driver's opinion is very important in this sport, and to try and establish a relationship with NASCAR and the owners and can connect it all together. You know what I mean? And you see what the owners have been able to do with the RTA and seeing other players associations around different leagues. I think it could build into something great for all the drivers that put their lives on the line each and every weekend. That their voices should be heard as much as anyone's, and I think that Jeff's the perfect person for that, I feel, and he's built a good board around that, and just trying to get the drivers together as much as we can, and there's small things that we have opinions on, and they don't get expressed because we're kind of all doing our own things throughout the week, but I think that Jeff Burton is a great person for that, and he's already proven it with his ability to talk with TV, NASCAR. He has a great relationship with a lot of people, so he comes across well, and I think it's a good start for the driver advisory board.
Tyler, based off of being able to do the test, does that impact what you might or might not do come the duels, since you've had some drafting? Again, it's not as many laps, but does that factor in, or is it like, look, that's a month ago and things change and you got to learn as you go?
Well, yeah, unfortunately, I actually didn't get to do any drafting when we were here, so it's kind of the opposite. Really want to learn what the car's capable of. I had Randall just all pissed off last night because I was dragging the brake, laying back onto Harvick so he could push me around the racetrack, and so yeah, I'm already being a little bit more aggressive than I should be. But what's new? But kind of same boat as Austin. We really want to get this car into the 500. Really like to get this car through the whole 500 and be able to maybe just replace a body panel or two. And then go race on the West Coast. So it's a weird spot to be in for our biggest race of the year, but just trying to navigate it as smart as possible.
All right, we'll go to Dustin right here.
Dustin Albino, JC.com. For you, Austin, obviously Ty, your brother, is getting another shot this year with Petty GMS. How big of a year is this for him?
I mean, I think it's a big year. You saw how he drove at the Coliseum, and he kind of had a lot of heart and soul put into that effort that he put out there. So I see something different for sure, even just the way he carries himself. So I'm pumped for him, and I know he's going to do everything he can to put the 42 where it needs to be, and I know he's excited for this opportunity.
Come up front here to Lee Spencer.
Thank you for joining us. To go back to the Drivers' Council deal, Austin, do you also bring a unique perspective because you're one of the third-generation racers in the sport? You've seen it from every side.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's another reason Jeff, he had talked to me about racing in multiple different ways around time. I've been around him when he was a teammate of RCR's when I was in the Truck and Xfinity Series, and I think he sees my perspective, from driver, owner, just being around the sports since I was a kid. So hopefully I bring just a unbiased opinion to the group and kind of hopefully be able to bring some information to them that, as drivers, sometimes we don't always see.
And can you talk about how the complexion of the RCR campus has changed, because you have a number of satellites on there, and I don't know how much sharing is going on or, what the dynamic is, but, can you talk about, are they helpful? Are they just customers, or how do you look at that as helping RCR as a whole?
Well, I think there's multiple ways to look at it from a driving standpoint. That I think that we get to bring in more minds to think about this new car. With colleague GMS, that it does, elevate us as a whole. We're just bigger, better together. I think, and that's an approach we have to take, especially with a new car, trying to learn as much as we can, as fast as we can. But Chevrolet in a whole is doing a lot right now. I think Chevrolet is where a big focus should be on. I mean, they're putting a huge campus together near HMS, and the ability to bring a lot of simulators in there and get us more time on the simulators. I know Tyler and I are constantly fighting for time to get on the simulator so we can learn, and we feel like they're doing a really good job with that. And that's an advantage that Chevrolet is kind of really taking the next step, I feel like, in investing in our teams.
Go to Jerry Jordan.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. For both of you guys, NASCAR's partnered with several sports books, and so there's now odds and things that are kind of being played out. Austin, you're 18 to 1 odds, and you dropped from 40 to 30 odds to win so you're becoming more and more of a favorite. How do you look at those odds, and do you even think about that, about when you've got fans out there that are going to partake in some of these new sports betting offerings?
I'm not allowed to look at those odds. No, I mean, if you see them, it's cool. You hopefully one day you'd want to be the favorite going in the race, like some of these guys have been able to accomplish in the career. It's nice to think that. I feel like in other sports, I know how good Vegas is. So when your lines gets lower, I mean, they must think it's pretty good of you, but that's cool and all. I do wonder though, like how NASCAR, I feel like there's more ways that betting should be used in NASCAR from other sports positions. So I feel like there's only certain bets you can make in NASCAR, and I feel like Vegas needs to open that up to more competitive bets.
Well, you're getting your wish because now they have heads-up driver versus driver, and then best driver of the top 5. So there's a lot of new things that are coming out regarding. I know y'all can't partake in it, but there's a lot of fans that are definitely chattering about it.
Yeah, that's cool. I always thought that in differential too. If you wanted to match two drivers up that were way apart from each other, you know how you get points in sports, you should be able to get spots, like a differential. But never understood why they didn't give you that.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. You'll see it on your Twitter feed. People are like, "Hey, I got my money on Tyler. I got my money on Austin," and it is kind of fun when people seem to pick you for. I guess I've been in it a few times, the dark horse or the underdog, whatever, for that race. So it's kind of cool to see it. Can't really, it doesn't really change anything for me. I'm already going into the race wanting to do everything I can anyways. But it is cool to see fans engaging and partaking in it in a lot of different ways.
Go back to Jordan Bianchi for a follow-up.
Jordan Bianchi, Athletic. Kind of following up on my earlier question, what is the mindset going into the duels then? I mean, I know they award points and it affects your starting position in the 500, but in the grand scheme of things, like you guys said, you want to get your car to Sunday's race. So is it just finish the race, run in the back? What's the mindset?
I mean, this is the 500, right? There's a lot of things that happen on track, but pit roads is really important here, and anything you can do to have a great pit stall or better pit stall than the guys you're gonna be racing around is just gonna help you the further this race plays out. But pit stall doesn't really mean a lot when you crash your car, so it's gonna change lap per lap in the duels. Unfortunately, I can't really say. It's gonna have to just react to the race and the surroundings that you have in that given situation.
It's a stressful position to be in. I mean, in years past, I've gone in the duel thinking, man, this car's not that good, and if we wrecked it, maybe the backup's better. It's not the case this year because the backup's sitting in Welcome, North Carolina. It's just a hard position to be in, and it's probably best answered by someone else other than Tyler and I because, we'd like it narrowed down for us a little bit better. But, that's our job is to figure it out, to race hard, and keep the car in one piece. Tough position to be in.
Go to Justin Palmer and then back to Daniel McFadden for a follow-up if we have time.
Thank you. Both for Justin Palmer, Columbia, Missouri, and for both of you guys, you will have a couple of teammates on track for the duels potentially that may be trying to get into the field. Are you mindful of that with some of the ECR engines that are out there? And do you guys try to help those guys try to get into the field for Sunday?
Absolutely, but kind of what we were just talking about, at what risk, at what cost for ourselves. That's where it gets very challenging. I'd love for every car that's trying to get in that has an ECR engine under the hood to make it, but again, it becomes a very, very difficult situation. Do we want to risk tearing our car up? going back there and helping, or they may not even be at the back. They may be up battling, maybe a couple cars up at the front. So it's just a risk versus reward type situation, and anything we can do to get more of our engines in the field is going to be a great thing for us. But again, helping get someone in and wrecking one of our own cars does us no good. So just got to manage it.
I'd say the best position to be in actually is one of those guys trying to make it in for the duel. They have the best duel position as far as aggression goes because they have one speed. You know what I mean? They gotta.
You got one goal, make the race.
Make the race.
Yeah, well, if you crash, that's it. No matter.
Yeah, so they have less to think about than us, but that's still not a great. I like that we're locked in, but as far as the duel goes, if you just talk about that race, their mind is already set of what they got to do.
We'll take our final question from Daniel McFadden.
Tyler, this is your third full-time Cup season now. Going into this year, how are you feeling about yourself? What's your personal assessment of you and what you can do in Cup in relation specifically to Cole Custer, Christopher Bell? You guys came in together. They've won. You haven't. How are you feeling right now about what you can do in Cup?
Really good. I know I'm willing to work as hard as it takes to get the job done. That's all there really is to it. I'll work harder than my competition if I have to, and I feel like I have been, so it'll pay off eventually.
I'll bet on him over them too.
All right.
Tyler, Austin, thanks so much for joining us, and we wish you the best of luck this week and this weekend.
Thank you.